Well, welcome to another installment of Ron Ruth Presents here on DJN TV. It's so wonderful to have all of you tuning in today. I'm really excited. This is going to be a great workshop that we're doing today. It's about how to rock your virtual sales presentations, and I got to tell you, I sat in on the beta version of this yesterday. I had an opportunity to spend some time with our special guest, and I got to tell you, you are in for a real treat today. So, without further ado, let me just go ahead and introduce you to my friend. His name is Steve Iwersen. He is a business leader and a keynote speaker. He's also the owner of a brand new website, I guess, if you will, or a business called Virtually Interactive Presentations, VIP. And he's going to guide you through all this. Before we get too far, and I feel bad, I did the intro and I should have done this first. Feel free to ask questions, put them into the chat. And I'll be watching the chat, and so will Steven. So go ahead and, if you would, mute yourself right now, and then we'll let Steven take over, and then he'll be able to take care of questions at the end. So with that, once again, and I'm sorry, Steven, I walked all over your introduction.
No, that's fine.
My friend, Steven Iwersen.
Well, thank you very much, Ron. Thank you for the claps. That's fabulous. I haven't heard those in person for a few months because everything's been virtual. I get the little icon, and that's okay. That is all right. It is a delight to be with you. Ron and I have been talking about a variety of virtual presentations, and we just got to talking about how maybe there's some techniques and some tips that would be of benefit to you, specifically when you're having those consultations, your sales presentations. And so we're going to take a little tour of Zoom. We're going to look at a few of the backdoor things and some tips. I told Ron that I was planning to give you 6 secrets. I'm going to give you 6 secrets, one of which comes from an advanced coaching program that I do, but I think it really works very well in your context when you're doing sales presentations or that consult. And Ron, I didn't tell you this because I didn't want to blow it, but I decided about 30 minutes to go to give you an extra bonus idea. Would that be okay? Okay. All right. We're going to do it. So here's what I'd like you to do. If you are familiar with Zoom, I'd like you to scroll down, hit that icon that says participants, and on the screen should come a list of everyone that is involved. If you're driving, please don't do this. Okay. You should have now a list of who's there. Scroll down until you find your name. When you find your name, a button will show. It says more. Click on the more, and you should see a little word somewhere in your drop-down menu that says rename. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is don't rename yourself. What I'd like you to do is to add to your name your current location, so I can see where everybody is currently coming in from. So rename, add to your name your location. I see Chicago, Bellevue, Washington. Awesome. All right, another from Seattle. I'm liking these Washington people because I'm a Seattle-born, Northwest-raised kid, and so that's kind of fun to see you guys there. Ireland, thanks, Martin, for jumping in. Chicago, Colorado. We've got Allentown in the house. Amarillo, excellent. I know that got some Kansas City folks. Thank you. I appreciate that. This is kind of a fun way to find out where people are getting in. Here's what I'd like you to do now. Go over to the chat and open up that chat and get ready, because I'm going to ask you a question here in just a moment. And it's going to be a pretty simple way. As fast as you can, respond to this question on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being worst ever, 10 is the best experience that you've ever had. Please rate for me the last virtual workshop that you went to in regards to how engaging or interactive it was. Rate the engagement or interactivity of that. Was it 1 total worst, 10 being the greatest? I'm seeing 5, 7, 3.7, 3.7. Wow. Do you have a grid of metrics that you're working with? That's fantastic. 6, 9s, 10s. Oh, well, thank you very much. All right. Now what I'd like you to do is to very briefly, 1 sentence if you could, explain the reason behind your rating. What made it so good? And what made it that 3.7? I'm going to give you a moment to just give that response for me. All right, I'm seeing some results come in here. All right, 0 participation, not much interaction. Information, interaction, engagement, excellent. It was good, but not a lot of information. Okay. All right. Okay. Santiago, I see yours. A workshop provided for other Toastmasters that came with the survey results were very positive. Excellent. Good stuff. Very good. Unique content. There's a lot of different reasons why people will be engaged, but what I'm finding, and the reason that my company decided to start a little subsidiary of our work in regards to virtual presentations is that what I know is that a lot of people have gotten very weary. We like to call it screen fatigue or Zoom fatigue, whatever terms you want to use. And the reason that they're weary is because there is no interactivity. There is no engagement. Typically, the presentation is one-sided. And what we want to do is help people figure out how to be more engaging. In fact, what I want to help people do is to shift from being a commentator to being a communicator. And communication is always going to have a two-way experience. And so what I tried to demonstrate for you here in just the first couple of minutes is some ways to start to engage. Now, what we just did is better for presentation and not so much for your consultations. But there are ways to get people involved as quickly as we can. I'm going to share my screen with you. And we're going to look at some ideas. Here we go. There it is. You've probably heard of the 2-minute rule. Years ago, it was taught to us, and I mean years ago, probably decades now since I first heard it, that the research said that when you begin a presentation of any type, you have 2 minutes to make a connection. 2 minutes to capture the intention of that individual, those that are listening, so that they want to lean in and to know more. But there's a new reality. And if you'll take a look at the screen, I'm going to ask you to just take a look. Right here we go. The hand of the clock is circling that too. That's the way it used to be. But the seconds clock right here, it's aiming at that 7 to 8 seconds mark on the clock. And that's what the new research is showing, that we have literally 8 seconds to capture someone's attention before they move on. And the reality for that is simply because of our cell phones. People are so used to scrolling. Oh, there's an interesting title, headline. Okay, I'm going to keep moving until they find something that captures their attention, and they'll pause long enough to open it, look at it, maybe read for a little bit, watch a video, whatever it may be. Everything now is programmed and conditioned to be very quick. And when it comes to our presentations, to your consultations, you really have little time to engage them immediately. And so I'm going to share with you just a couple of ideas that I think would be helpful to you. The first is to make sure that you ask what their story is before you kick off with any of your presentations or services that you can provide. It really does come down to this. Make it about them from the very beginning, not about you. So start asking some questions. Really, if you're using Zoom to consult with them, start right away with, hey, tell me where you're from, which we did a little bit with our rename yourself. Or how about, tell me how you met, and let them tell their story. Or you could say, hey, tell me, how did you propose? And get them talking about their romance. Get them engaged in exploring some of their history with you. And you're going to be taking notes because you're going to work that back into your presentation as much as you possibly can. But the key in this kind of setting is to ask right up front about them before you do anything else. Now, what I'd like you to consider, that's the first tip that I wanted to share with you. Ron, if you're counting, that's 1 of 6, not counting the bonus. Okay, here we go. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through a really fast and furious Zoom tour. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my back screen here. And we're going to show you some settings in the back. Here we are. And when you go to Zoom, and this doesn't matter if you have Zoom Basic, where you're not paying for it, but you only have 40 minutes to have that conversation, or if you have an upgraded version. I currently have a hybrid upgraded version where I can do the webinars as well. These settings are going to be standard pretty much no matter what level you have. But I'm going to encourage you and I do not get any recognition from Zoom. I'm not affiliate. I don't get paid for this. If you're going to use a platform of any type, WebEx, Zoom, whatever it may be, you're going to want to look at paying for the upgraded level, because you're going to want to have a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more of the bells and whistles to work with, and not feel that pressure of just barely giving them something, because you're professionals. And you want to be able to have some of those things. So I'm going to share with you just a few. And the first one, and Ron, this is secret number 2, is the waiting room. Here we go.
Make signs so I could hold them up when you.
Right at the top, Zoom has now moved this to the very top. The waiting room is where you get to come in. And I always have that toggled, because I want people, when they come to my meeting, if they get there a little bit early, I want them to land in the waiting room. And the reason I want them to land in the waiting room is because of this piece right here, the customized waiting room message. And I'm going to take you to mine as it is right now. We're going to clear that screen for you. There we go. And what I'm going to recommend is that when your bride and groom land in the waiting room, just a few minutes before you begin, you have right up here this option to greet them. And you can change this to anything. It could be, "Hi, Bob and Sally. Glad you're here." Personalize this. If you can, you could use a logo. It could be your logo, or depending on the images, maybe it's their picture. And you can put that right there. So when they land, the topic of your meeting, whatever it may be, is going to automatically populate there. And right down here, you can then put a special unique message just for them. So while they're waiting, they're getting personalized, extra touch experience with you that I'm pretty sure nobody else is doing for them. All right. So we're going to close that out.
You can usually harvest their engagement photo, or at least one engagement photo from their Facebook page if you can locate it.
Yes,
that would make a great photo for them to see.
That's right. Other settings to consider. I'm going to scroll down a little bit more. Schedule meeting. You're going to get this part of the settings. So it says schedule meeting, the host video, the participants video. I just always have these toggled so they're ready to go. So the video is already functioning. Even if you don't have it, it's just an extra step for you and for them when the meeting begins. But just something I want to encourage you to consider. Also, make sure that you have telephone and computer audio, because sometimes the computer audio for them is not working. They're going to have to use a telephone, or you might have the bride at the computer and the groom is in his car on his way home, or whatever it may be. So he's going to have that. And I'm going to scroll down just a little bit more. When you get down here to chat, I don't see using chat as much during a consult as you would with a larger group, but go ahead and have the chat available just in case you want to share information with them and they can respond to as well. This right here was set up for another meeting where we wanted to prevent the participants from saving chat. I don't usually do that, but the customer asked me to have that feature available. And so I always typically allow them to save the chat. Then you just hit save, because that's going to give them an opportunity to maybe save your profile, whatever the case may be. All right. And
if I may, Stephen,
yes, sir.
On the chat, as much as you may think it's not something that you would normally use, if you have a bride and groom that are in 2 separate cities and you're doing a sales presentation, they may have questions that come up that they ask each other during the course of your conversation. So they could privately ask each other a question of, did you hear what they said? Or can we get make sure to ask about clarification on this or that or the other.
It's a great point. And right underneath that chat, you'll see private chat. You have to allow that in your settings in order for them to communicate with each other. So make sure that you've toggled that open. All right, I'm going to scroll back to the top. And in the same place, the settings, the second tab is about recording. Many of you already know how to make this work. Oh, guess what? My computer just kicked me out. How exciting. How exciting. Let's see if we can make this work.
It's a virtual world.
It is a virtual world. Whoop. It says stay signed in. I said stay signed in, and it's just not going to move. There we go. All right, recording. There it is. I encourage you to do local recording, so you've got it on your computer, but you can also record it to the cloud. You've got lots of different options. I'm not going to walk through all of these, but there are ways of communicating. But I do want to point out audio transcript. You can have them do an audio transcript of your conversation. You're going to get a copy of that after you close the meeting out. They'll send it to you. You've got notes. You don't have to worry too much about taking too many notes, but you're going to have a chance to remember some of the key things that they've told you that were important to them. All right.
If I may, again, I'm sorry. You video.
Oh, go ahead.
Here's knowing that what's coming up here in a few minutes, and that's a teaser for everybody that's watching. Knowing some of the stuff that you're going to be presenting here in a little bit, my suggestion is make sure that you record this. Make sure you record it to the cloud, because you can share this with your couples after the presentation, so they can actually go back and review some of the things that you discussed with them,
right?
Rather than just ending a meeting and then leaving it. So if they have questions, if they want clarification, they could easily go back and watch the video as well.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, what's this chat? Ron, what are you saying here? What?
I said chat could be used for them to list. You could ask them, say, so what is it that you're looking for?
No, not that one. Something about sporting your favorite team's shirt. Is that, there we go. I got the Casey thing going on. All right, so there we go.
Favorite team. Looks like you and I are the only two that did it. So
I know. That's all right. All right, here's something else. We're going to move on to another tip for you, and I'm going to, let's see if we can do the share my screen here with you. And all right, let's see if this is going to work. Yeah. All right, share the screen. This is tip number 3 for you. When you get ready to share screen, and you can see what it looks like on my screen. You're going to have some options: desktop, whiteboard, all the different settings. But here's what I like to make sure that you don't miss, and sometimes people forget this, and that's share your computer sound and optimize the screen for sharing video clips. I forgot to do this once, and fortunately, my audio coming from my laptop was loud enough that it picked up in my mic so they could hear the actual audio. Video is working okay, but you want to make sure that you do this right before you get ready to go on live with them, so that when you share some of that stuff, they're going to be able to hear your music, maybe a testimonial audio of someone that you interviewed after an event, whatever it may be. Make sure that you've got that. So there's an extra tip for you right there. And I was asked if I would be willing to share a little bit of, here we go, some ideas for a budget studio. Now, some of you are willing, and I know that you're ready. Let's see if we can get it to work. There it is. Okay. Yep. There it is. There it is, right there. I know that you have big budgets, and so if you've got the money, you could spend this kind of money for your equipment and have a really good thing. But I'm going to give you a couple of ideas that are budget studio. I have a growing and developing studio in my home. We've spent some money, but we've been very thrifty. If Ron could tell you behind the scenes, I'm pretty frugal. And so I'll spend some money on quality equipment, but there's other things that sometimes I think, why am I going to spend that much money for something that maybe we could, I don't know, do on our own, such as green screens. Green screens were, for a little while, based on the supply chain, hard to find, and then the prices started going up outrageously, and we were just sitting around one night talking about using some green screen, and I thought, well, couldn't we make our own? And so my wife and I went to the fabric store. We found some nice green fabric, not a polyester, a fabric that's not shiny because it's going to reflect light and create some of that noise around you if you're going to do virtual background. So something that's a little softer. And then she sewed it all together. We built a frame. I'll give you the next slide. We built a frame out of PVC, put some elastic around it. Yes, I'm probably the person responsible for the shortage on elastic in our area. And then we just put the frame up, and now we've got a green screen that's portable, and I can use that for virtual backgrounds. In fact, one guy I know used, I think he went to the craft store and he bought the large sheets of poster board that was green, and he went and taped them up on his wall, and it worked just as well. So he actually spent less money than I did. I spent $32 for the whole thing. When it comes to lights, many of you have great lights. Going rate for the soft lights, 60 to 150 bucks, ring lights, or up to 150 depending on the type you can. But if you want to be frugal, you could probably just find something at Walmart or a thrift store like a floor lamp, get a couple of them, $20 or more or even less. And I know that the lights can be pretty bright. So a tip is to use some parchment paper and just tape it over the light itself, let it drape there, and it's going to give you that soft glow. And you probably spent less than, like I said, maybe $20 for the whole bit. Just some budget tips. So that was number 4 for you. And the last thing I'm going to say about that, Ron, is when you get on camera for consultation, now obviously I'm not dressed for the part, but if you're trying to pitch to a couple that you're the right fit for all of their needs when it comes to their wedding, if you're not dressed for that kind of experience, they will judge you based on how you're appearing on the camera. So make sure that you've combed your hair. Make sure that you're wearing something that's more professional, and it's not a bad idea to brush your teeth as well.
Well, and in general, I think the overall look, whether it's in lighting, you don't have to have the best camera in the world, but I mean, if you're well lit and if you're, don't have clutter behind you, you could, for me, I have my branding behind me. You could easily have your branding, but anybody could have their branding behind them, but just something so that you have that a personal appearance. If you're applying for a personal job, then it's imperative to have a personal appearance in all things. So details matter.
They really do. Yeah, they really do. And lighting really is the key. I've chosen this week to do a little experiment, and I'm using just my computer camera on my laptop. And we've been playing with the lighting, finding the right lighting, and it's been amazing the quality that's coming through, and I'm hoping it's coming through pretty well for you. But the quality of the image has really crisped up and looks good because the lighting has been set just right for it. And it's not the world's best camera. We've got other cameras that are much better, but I just wanted to tinker with it. And so my experiment's starting to prove itself. The better the lighting, the better you're going to look. So explore that. Right now in our studio, we've got one light that is set on more of a brighter white with a little blue tint, and another light that's a little bit more softer, a little bit more of the yellow, just to off balance a little bit. And I've got a hair light above, and that just kind of brings things together a little nicely. And the hair light above is actually a light string of outdoor lights that you hang above your patio. I told you I was frugal. Okay.
And or you could have a hair light like Martin's got, where his hair just kind of glows,
That's I love that.
And staying on the topic of these inexpensive lights, I have 2 clip lights just like this one across from me, and what I discovered is that like 60-watt LED lights are awesome. Don't get the cool white, get the white whites.
Yeah.
Because those will give out the most light, and I think for 2 lights they work just fine. So
good. Very good. Okay. All right. Here's the bonus, actually the advanced idea, Ron, that I was telling you about. This is usually something that I teach in a more advanced class for folks that are trying to make their presentations more interactive. And here's the tip. When you get to the part where you start to address the services that you provide, it's very tempting to start going down your list of services. And that's when we shift into more telling mode and less conversation mode. And so I've created for you a sample, and I call this the choose your story method. Some of us remember getting a book where you could read the book and you get to a certain point in the book and it says you get to choose what happens next. And if you choose A, you go to a certain page. If you choose B, you go to the whatever it may be. It's a fun read, and it empowers people. You could do the same thing in a consult or a sales presentation by just getting to this place where you say, let's talk about your wedding. And I've got 4 different areas that we could target, but what I'd like you to just say, what's most important right now to you? What would you like to explore? Would it be the planning? Could it be maybe special moments, the formalities that happen during a ceremony, or maybe it's about the music and the dancing? Which of these would you like to address?
Let's let Sue open her microphone. Sue, open your mic, and you play bride for a little bit. Pick a category. Where would you like to? I love the kit. By the way, I love the cassettes. Stephen, I can tell that you're really up on technology.
Oh yeah, I am up there.
And my guess is, that's something that Martin probably still uses in Ireland. I don't think Ireland has CDs yet, but I could be wrong. So
okay.
So Sue, go ahead. Pick a category.
Well, Ireland will get electricity, I think, next year. I would love to talk about formalities.
Formalities. Okay, well, let's begin there. And what happens now on your slide that you're using, each of these boxes has a link in it. When you click on it, it's going to take you to the page that has formalities. Now, you could use images. I encourage images. We just created a simple tool for you to explore. Here are the typical formalities that we can discuss. Parent dances, introductions, the cake cutting, the first dance. In fact, let's just explore first dance for a moment. And that click, every one of those takes you to another slide that allows you to visually share with them some of the things that you do. Now, on this slide, we have the top 10 first dance songs or the worst ever first dance songs. Now, I don't have a list, but it's just something that you can have some fun with. You'll also notice that on this slide, down in the bottom right corner, there is a picture of your landing page where you had all 4 choices. So whenever you're done discussing these things, you can go back to formalities by clicking, I'm going to do it again. First dance, there's a picture of the first dance. That box, that photo, has a link that takes me back to our formalities page. And we could discuss other things that are important to them and find out, are these things that they really want to do? When you're done with that, you go back to your landing page and you say, hey, Sue, what else would you like to talk about right now?
We got a lot of planning to do.
Oh, okay. Well, let me show you a little bit of the approach that we take to make sure from the beginning to the very end and the follow-up is all wrapped up. And this is the tool that we use. And you could have a photo of your planning, or you have in your business probably different ways of demonstrating how you actually do the planning. And this is just one example. This could be a PDF that after you've talked about it, you could say, I'd be glad to send this to you so you can start to work through this. Or you could go through it right now. Whatever you want, that's the process. Well,
or you could show them screenshots. If you're doing online planning, you could show screenshots of what the online planning forms look like so they have a feel for what this is going to be, what this is going to look like.
That's right. All right. Okay, we've done the formalities. We've looked at planning. Do you have any special moments, Sue, that you're thinking about?
Yeah, grandparents.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go to that and let's just talk a little bit about, and we'd have grandparents on this page or whatever, voiceovers, whatever. Maybe it'd be the love story. Let me just demonstrate. We're going to click on that. We're going to go to love story. And Ron, you've talked about love stories, I know, with this group before. This is something that you've done many times. And so you would just explain kind of how you use the story by interviewing the bride and groom in advance and then weaving together a story. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's just show you a little moment of when this couple actually heard their story.
This isn't just any ordinary tale. It is Jimmy and Brittany's love story. And the guests all went, aww. Their story begins on September 10th, 2011 at a celebration just like this one. Your beautiful bride, Brittany, was working the bar at a wedding reception taking place at the Cotillion, a wedding venue she manages in Blue Springs. Your handsome groom, Jimmy, was a groomsman and one of a small number of guests. He was also one of the few in attendance who was drinking alcohol. Yeah. Lots and lots of alcohol, which meant he was making frequent visits to the bar. And because he was in the minority of drinkers, each time he returned, Brittany knew exactly what he wanted, leading Jimmy to believe...
I guess I thought she was remembering what I was drinking, so I thought she was kind of trying to make an impression.
In reality, Brittany was just trying to make a bigger tip.
Oh, so you could share that kind of a thing by just having a little video of that love story, an example. And videos are a great way to convey to you a little bit of the envisioning of what their wedding can be like, but you want to follow their lead as you go through each of those special moments.
And all of those special moments, can we go back to the screen for a moment, Stephen?
Sure,
all of those special moments could have videos, voiceovers for a first dance. You could show what it sounds like, or personalized wedding party introductions. You could actually show what that might look like. A long distance toast where grandma can't make it, but so you make arrangements for it to be recorded and played back, and you could have video of audience or guest reaction, or the bride and groom's reaction. All of these are ways of connecting with the couple. I love this. So I'm sorry.
Well, those are great points. And as you can tell, Sue, we're going to go ahead and hit the music and dancing because, that's pretty cool.
I don't know. Find a cassette player first.
We'll find a cassette player because we've got some great music. We got Marvin Gaye right there, and Cyndi Lauper. Yeah, we've got some good.
Don Henley. Everybody dances to Don Henley.
So there you go. So we're going to look at that, and there's your selection. Now, obviously, you've probably already put all the math together and figured out this takes a lot of prep work for you in advance. But once it's done and you can go and you know your stuff, you know what you can really deliver, you capsulize and share with them the very best moments possible, because now you're starting to become a part of their story. All right. And when you've done it, there you go. And you now have a choose your path for the consultation, but you have, in a sense, actually guided them down the path. They just feel like they've been more of the storytelling itself.
And what I love about this also, Stephen, is that, as we were talking about yesterday, you can add uplighting, you can add monograms, you can add, whatever you want to add. You're not restricted to four slides. You can 6, 8 slides. Even if they don't want to travel through all 8 slides, you have them available as at least an idea planter, especially when it comes to uplighting, because that's usually an upcharge. You get that by putting that up there, you're kind of like giving a hint in the beginning without actually talking about somebody buying uplighting or paying extra for uplighting.
Yep. You could have another potential category would be other resources, wedding professionals that you recommend. Hopefully they've already done their homework and got things moving through, but sometimes they're at a loss, and people, so you can network and you can make some of those recommendations. All right. So in this choose your story method, we've also demonstrated video, which is my 6th tip. The more that you show and let people experience and draw them in, and the less you tell about what you do, the better off you're going to be. So there's your 6th secret. Now I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to bring us all the way back to this spot right here. Before I share with you the bonus tip, I'm going to open it up and ask you, what questions do you have? I know that a few comments have been coming in. Let's see what you've got in mind.
You can go ahead and open your mics and ask questions of Stephen rather than putting them in chat. Go ahead. Go ahead, Smart. No, just open your mic and go.
Yep. That was a PowerPoint presentation that you had there with links going through it, was it?
Now, it's not very hard to do at all. And if you'd like, I can show you how we do it.
Please.
Would that be helpful? Okay, so let me go back to sharing screen. And we'll just pop this back up here. All right. And here is PowerPoint. So I'm going to get out of that. We're going to create a slide. Here we go. Now I use Keynote with Mac. That's my my preference. And I'm just going to get rid of some images here. Here we go. We'll just create something. All right, let's move this out here. Let's bring this one up here. Okay, so what I've done is just a blank slide. I've put an image onto the screen, and then I do for me, it's a double click. Well, in PowerPoint, you can go up to the control bar at the top and it says add link to images. And well, all we're going to do is we're going to add a link. Now, for me, it's add a slide. Or I can send them to a web page, send it as an email. I'm going to add a slide, and it then says, well, what slide do you want them to go to? You can do next, previous, go back to the first slide, or select a very specific one, whatever you want. I'm just do next slide, and that's it. So when you go live and you click that, it takes them to the next slide.
Thank you. That's right, because I have 2 consultations tomorrow now. Me forced 2 since we're getting back.
Oh,
Of one at 12 at midday, and I've another one at 3 o'clock. It's almost 11 o'clock at night time here, so I don't think I might get it done in in a handful of hours. But for the next one after that, I'll be able to use something like that. Thank you.
Now, what I'd like you to notice, everybody, please remember this, because when you take them from that slide you're working from to the slide you wanted to talk about, you've got to remember to always make sure that you have something that's going to take them back. So look at this. It says go back to slide 7, which is my landing page slide. Now,
so
if you don't want to put an image there, you could just put an imaginary box. I literally could. Here, I'll do this right here. I'm going to put a box there. And you can make this box as big as you want. And you can change the color. I'm going to go over here and say no fill, so there's no color at all. Now, that's an invisible box to people, but I can put a click in there, and it will take me to whatever slide I want to go to. And let's just say we're going to go back to 7. And it's ready to go. Now, I've got to remember where that imaginary box is so I can click on it. But there's got to be a back and forth, or you're going to get a little lost. Just experiment and play with it, and pretty soon it becomes really second nature, and it's more conversational. That's why I like to teach this. Okay.
Thank you.
You bet.
Hey, Steve, I have a question for you, if possible. You talked about recording your transcripts. Can you show us in the settings again where we can find that?
Let's do that, yes. All right. As long as Zoom didn't kick me out again. Here we go. All right, there's the page. This would be your profile. You're going to scroll down to settings right there. And you're going to get 3 options: meeting, recording, telephone. Click on that recording. And you have right there, and I'll just show you here with there we go. This is for local recording, so it will record to your computer, and cloud recording. So if you have those toggled on, you will then get after your presentation, you will get an email from Zoom that says your recording is available. And I'll show you where you can find it. You can either click on the link, it'll take you directly to that particular link, or you'll find it in your recordings, and they'll all be listed by name of the event, the time, and you can click on that. There's also a share button. And so you click on the share, it's going to give you an option to make it public. You could put a password to it if you want, and then you can clipboard all the contact of the sharing information. You can email that to your bride and groom, and that way they've got access to it.
What about the transcript, though, the audio transcript?
Okay. Settings. Here we go. Go back to. Whoop.
An important note while you're getting back to that, Stephen, is that on the cloud recording, don't freak out if it doesn't just appear automatically. You got to wait for it to actually get to you. So I've personally have freaked out a couple of times because I keep forgetting it doesn't just automatically appear. You have to wait.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go back to the settings page, click on the recording, and then scroll down, and right there under advanced cloud recording settings, you're going to see audio transcript. Toggle that on, and again, just like the other recording, you're going to get an email that says your transcript is ready with a clickable link to get that transcript.
Do you ever do that, Steve? Do you have one? I wonder what it looks like.
I don't believe I have one.
Is it kind of like talk to text?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
It's not going to be really pretty. The grammar's probably not going to be perfect, so you probably want to correct it if you need to. Now, I use it once in a while for blogs. A conversation I'm having with somebody, we'll record that, and then I'll get that audio recording, the transcript, and then I'll just repurpose that for a blog, different articles, things like that. I don't have to spend as much time trying to remember what we said and writing it out.
And another trick is if you don't get the transcript, if you forget, you can upload the video to YouTube, and YouTube will create closed caption.
Good tip.
Pretty much the same way.
Very good.
Is that available only on a specific tier? Because I'm not seeing it on my back end here, and I do pay for Zoom.
Okay. Can you tell me what plan you're on?
Let's see.
Are you in Pro or Business?
I am in. It's the $14.99 a month. The Pro.
Okay. Yeah. What I'm showing you is the Business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So $5 more a month.
Or upload it to YouTube.
Yes. Either way. Okay.
Stephen, I have a question. This is Greg Louder talking. Obviously, we should pay for the $14.99 if we can. But if we are on the free tier, I know they limit it to 40 minutes.
Yes.
But I'm reading the way I interpret it, though, is if it's just a one-on-one, there is no time limit. Can you confirm that?
I cannot confirm that.
I can, and yes,
can?
that's true. So if you have a bride and groom and you're on the free program, if at all possible, try to have them, if they live together or whatever, try to just get them in on the same call so they're on the same screen.
Cool.
That's cool. Thanks for asking that. Now I just learned something because
Excellent.
I didn't realize. So one-on-one, it'll give you
It says it, but it's worded weirdly.
Well, and if you do more than one, and you'll get a countdown clock as you get closer to the expired time. Now you can, if you want, you could say, hey, you know what? Let's take a bathroom break, and then come back in a couple of minutes, and just come back to this link, and they'll be able to log right back in again, and you'll be right back up again. So you could play it to your favor. Just play it off as, hey, let's take a quick bathroom break, and we'll be right back at the same.
Is that the famous bathroom close?
That is
bathroom close.
That is the famous old guy has to go more often than
I love it.
All right, cool. Thanks.
All right. Someone else?
So, Stephen, I have a question for you, because one thing that we haven't covered, and a bonus 7 or maybe a bonus 8. Can you quickly describe how you're going about being able to mark on the screen so that you can underline and circle? Can you explain real quick?
That's the bonus.
That's a bonus?
That's the bonus.
Okay,
nice
cool.
setup. Thank you very much.
That's called a lead-in.
Oh, yes. Well, it was a good lead-in. If everyone will look at the screen, if you're in gallery view, you'll see that I'm actually listed twice. Me in person, and me somewhere on your screen, just my image. Right below you? Okay. All right. Well, what that is that's my iPad. I signed in twice. Now, I have 2 specific reasons to do that. The first one is it's a backup. It's also been identified as co-host. So if my computer decides to just totally fry and I lose it, I still have a connection and I can engage immediately with my iPad and keep the conversation going. I also have my cell phone set on hotspot so that if we lose power, my iPad will pick up on the hotspot and I can keep going without having to reconnect with them. So it's just a backup system. The question, Ron, you were asking is my second reason for having that. And that is I use the iPad instead of Zoom's whiteboard. Zoom's whiteboard is very clunky and it's not very smooth. But if I use my iPad and my Apple Pencil, I can write on my slides any comments they make, or I can point things out. It's just a nice tool that allows me to have a little bit more flexibility. And once in a while, people will say, "Hey, can you go back to?" and I'll highlight certain words, or I use lots of images, and I might use an arrow or just circle. See this individual right here? Let me tell you about Ron Ruth. Ron is, and then I'll tell the story. But I can isolate that. So that's the purpose of that. So there's your bonus. Backup system and have some fun with it. The same thing can happen with any other tablets that allows you to interact. You can do that. But you got to make sure that you're participating, and it's really smart to make sure that you're co-hosting from that position. Okay?
And to be honest, and out of fairness, in order to do that, you're going to have one of the paid versions because, again, or of course, again, if you want to do it within a 45-minute time frame, you could actually make that still work for you.
Yes.
Or you'd have to pay the extra. So, any other questions of Stephen? We're kind of running a little bit short on time, but I want to make sure that we get all the questions in. Anybody have anything else they'd like to ask? Stephen, if I wanted to learn, if we want to learn more about how to do this stuff, especially the slide that we talked about earlier that had all the categories, what options do we have for learning how to do that?
Is that a lead-in?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So let me show you what we've got going on. We literally have a couple options for folks. We have what I call the VIP tour. VIP stands for virtually interactive presentations. Starting next Tuesday, we have an advanced class. It's a smaller group, but we get into more of the advanced tips, ideas, something like the create your own story methodology and other things that will help you present more interactively. And the VIP tour, this is what it includes: 2 advanced workshops. The first one is next Tuesday night, and we spend about 75 minutes looking at other things that are beyond the basics. Then we do a follow-up virtual conference that has a little more Q&A with some hot seats. Because the goal is, as you go through the advanced tour session, what we want you to do is identify 1 or 2 things that you'd like to start to experiment with. But before you roll it out with your prospect, your bride and groom, or whoever it may be, you might want to have a test run. So the hot seat is an opportunity for you to come back and say, okay, here's what I've done. And I'm going to make you a co-host, and you're going to take the driver's seat and actually test it, and you're going to get some coaching. And of course, this includes a PDF workbook, some video tips, the recordings of the sessions. The workbook includes a long list of different resources and tools that we use. So that alone right there, that package, the 2 workshops, and the coaching, normally $160. We're offering it for you guys for $97 for that total coaching program. But to run the risk of sounding too promotional, Ron, but wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more, because I've had a number of people saying, hey, can we take this a little bit further? And so what I've done is I've created an additional program. We're calling it the VIP experience. And it's a 90-day experience in its totality. It includes everything I just mentioned, the advanced coaching and workshops, a members-only Facebook group. You're going to get 1 additional coaching session, and it's a very limited number of people. And it's going to be some coaching with me. Plus, and this is the part that I'm really excited about, we're offering exclusive access to what we're calling the VIP exchange. And these are 15-minute live chats that we're going to be doing on Zoom. They may go longer, but our goal is 15 minutes once a week for over 13 weeks. And we're not doing this as an on-demand program. We're doing them literally as live, because what we're trying to do is stay very current with what's the breaking news when it comes to interactivity, what are some of the new tools, skills, experiences, and we're going to be sharing with you little to-the-point ideas each week. And the reason we chose 15 minutes is because I'm hearing from my customers, I've got way too many Zoom meetings, virtual meetings. I'm exhausted with the 60-minute programs like we've done today. I just want to the point and something I can use this week and start to experiment with. And the other reason we chose 90 days is because I don't know about you, but I don't need one more annual subscription or something that's going to take forever. And I'm only going to experience it for 90 days and probably forget it anyway. And this is the fun part. We just locked these folks in last night. We have some presenters we're going to be interviewing during that 13 weeks. The first gentleman right there, his name is Bill Staten. Let me just highlight Bill for you. This is Bill. Bill is an Emmy award-winning TV producer. And those of you who are from the Seattle, Washington area, you might recognize him from a TV show that he produced for a number of years. Some of you probably recognize Rob.
Of course.
Yeah, from Utah, DJ. And this gentleman right here is Brian Walter. And Brian Walter is the CEO, president of Extreme Meetings. And his whole approach is to take a usual in-person meeting to a whole new level of interactivity. And he and I have been having some conversations, and he's found some really cool ways to bring all that to the virtual experience. So he's going to be our guest during that 13 weeks. And so it's not just going to be me and other tips. It's going to be a variety of different interviews. And so I just wanted you to be aware of that. This is 13 weeks of VIP training. If you want to take advantage of it, we're not going to ask you to pay the $340. We're going to give you guys a chance to get in $195. That's $45 a month for all of everything that's right there. And there's the commercial. I'm done. No pressure, no obligation. But if you'd like to know more, you can email me. My email's right there at the bottom of the slide, Stephen@StephenIwersen.com. Or if you want to just get in on this right now, go to Virtually Interactive Presentations, and you'll find the VIP options, and you can explore all that. And we'll go from there.
Thank you. Those are good deals, man. That's a bargain at any place. So
just for you.
So the beauty of everything that you've talked about today is that, and we didn't really explore it a whole lot while you were on that one slide that I really get excited about, is that we have opportunities here. These things would work for any wedding professional, whether you're a florist, a photographer, videographer, a wedding planner, because I mean, you can guide your couples through these, let them share their stories, just like we were doing with those slides. What's most important to you? Well, music is most important, or flowers, or whatever. So you have an opportunity, regardless of what segment of this industry, to be able to use these tools to your advantage. So I thank you for taking the time. Any last final questions from anyone out there before we move on? Oh, and Sue's showing off her Chicago.
Yeah, there she is.
And we had the Cubs. And Dublin, yeah. Who is that, Martin? Unmute yourself. Who is that?
That's Liverpool.
Oh, I thought it was a rooster.
That's a liveaboard. We're the current club world champions. We're the current European Cup holders. And 2 weeks ago, we won the English Premier League.
Hey,
we 6 months ago won the Super Bowl. So I'm just saying. I mean,
hey, we have those cardboard cutouts in the stands for the Cubs, and 4 of them got COVID yesterday.
The Mariners could beat that. There were more cardboard cutouts in the stands yesterday than there would have been in the stands people on another year.
Hey, there he is.
The Titans. We got the Titans represented. Anthony.
Bring on the Kraken.
Oh, there he goes.
Oh, the Kraken, yeah. So, yeah, I thought it would be. It's probably politically incorrect. I don't know. What is that behind you, Martin?
That's the cups that we currently have, and their manager, Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah. Wow. If only you guys had played real football over there. I don't know.
In fairness, in football, you don't handle the ball. You play with your feet. And
I didn't know in soccer that you were a cup.
I didn't know there was a need. I know it would be politically incorrect, but I want to see like one of the baseball games where a bat goes flying and takes the head off of one of those cardboard cutouts, just as a PSA. Then it could turn into a PSA of watch what and have it be a cutout of somebody looking at their phone. So that'll get me banned from ever doing.
I don't know about here, or other places, but if the foul ball or bat hits your cardboard cutout, they will send it to you.
The ball or the bat?
Well, they said ball, but they said if things hit it, so I don't know. Okay. Maybe they want their bats back, I guess.
I guess. All right.
I saw a bat take a lady out one time in the stands.
No, that's not good. I don't want to see anybody get hit for real. I just, that'd make a great PSA. Kind of like from Major League where he's throwing the ball and he needs glasses. All right. So any final questions? Anybody have a final comment before we go away here?
Hey, thank you, Steve.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for letting me be a part of this today.
And yes, thank you, Stephen Iwersen. Stephen at Stephen Iwersen, Iwersen.com if you want to get a hold of him. And again, thank you for all tuning in to this.
Don't forget your screenshot, your screen grab.
Oh, let me do that right now. Everybody smile. Got it. Okay. Thank you all once again for tuning in to this installment of Ron Ruth Presents, and we'll see you all again some other time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.